Oh man, what just happened?
Attention guests, we're very sorry to interrupt the fun you're having. A malfunction has occurred within the facility's electrical system. We are currently investigating the source of the problem. Please be patient until the power is restored.
I don't really understand. There must be something wrong with the computer in the central control room. It looks like the electricity that's supplied from the main power source has been cut off, but it'll be okay. There's also an alternate power source, so there's no chance we'll be stuck in complete darkness. It's just that...
Just what?
The moving walkway is operated using the main power, so we can't evacuate guests from the island at this time.
But even if the walkway isn't moving, we can still go by foot, right?
No, that's not possible. While the air circulation system is shut down, it's extremely dangerous to walk in the tunnel. The shutters should have automatically lowered now.
What?
We're not able to leave the island?
But you shouldn't worry. Emergency rubber boats have been prepared to deal with this kind of situation.
Oh, that's good.
In any case, I'll be sure to do everything I can to restore the power as quickly as possible. Everyone, please wait in your rooms for the time being.
So that's where things stand. The lot of you, get on back to your rooms.
Okay.
Aw, we gotta wait around again?
So what do you think, Jimmy? Is the blackout and all this commotion the work of the killer?
If that's true, then what's the point?
Well, to commit murder, of course. They're probably looking to take advantage of all this confusion so they can pull off their next crime. Their plan must be to trap their victim on this island.
Though Mr. Chase said that if things get really bad, people can escape from the island on rubber boats. But if the culprit knows about the boats...
Then they'll definitely look to destroy them.
I'd better go down to the boathouse and have a look around.
Okay, and I'll keep an eye on Mr. Chase. According to that message, the person the murderer most wants to kill is Mr. Chase himself, right?
Be careful, Harley.
Yeah, you too, Jimmy.
Did the electrical system break down?
Hey, what's going on?
The boathouse is just beyond here. It's no use. The shutter's been lowered and I can't go any further. Oh, these are... The rubber boats were slashed by someone, and there's not even a single one left to use. Until the main power supply is restored, there's no way for anyone to escape from this place. This must be the computer that controls the main power supply. It was programmed so that the power would shut down at 2:30 p.m. So it didn't break down after all. Someone made it happen. I need to say a password. So if it's a password that Mr. Chase would think of using... All right, I get it!
パスワードが入力されました。主電源を回復させます。
The password has been entered. The main power supply will be restored.
Excellent. Okay, the power is back to normal.
Oh, it's Conan. CJ, what are you doing out here?
I just thought it was a little strange.
What do you mean?
This laundry cart. It's full of sheets.
What's so strange about that?
Because I haven't changed the sheets in the guests' rooms yet.
That is strange.
Hey! Maybe somebody changed the sheets instead of me.
Who?
The culprit from the case of the stolen maid outfit! What if they're wearing the outfit they took from me and are pretending to be a maid?
You're some detective, CJ. Wasn't that some brilliant reasoning?
Thanks a lot. CJ, the maid detective, is on the case.
Huh? Conan, Harley wasn't with you?
He had something to take care of. But hey, Rachel, isn't it great that the power's back on?
Sure is.
Hey, now that the power is on again, it's probably okay if we leave the room, right?
No, it's still not okay. My dad told me to make sure you guys stay in your rooms until he returns.
Man, he's not coming back soon, is he?
If I knew something like this was going to happen, I would have brought some games from home.
But worse than that, my stomach is running on empty.
Me too.
What? Where are the snacks I just bought?
George gobbled them all down.
Oh, brother. You really are a pig, aren't you?
It looks like someone's coming.
It must be my dad. Hey, you're...
Excuse me for interrupting all of a sudden. I saw how disappointed the children were at the labyrinth, and it hit me how bored they must be now.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, we've been bored out of our minds.
And I'm really starving, too.
Then I came at the right time. I'm actually going to put on a magic show in the room where Otako, the wife of the president, stays. Wanna come?
Yeah! Is that for real?
Mrs. Chase wants to say sorry for the event ending up so badly. As part of her apology, she'll also be serving up some cake.
Awesome! We get to eat cake while watching Prince Kozlov's magic. We really are lucky, huh?
Yeah, it was worth our while to come here after all.
If it's okay, why don't you two join us as well?
What do you think, Rachel? I better wait for my dad.
Can't you just leave a message in his room?
Oh, Yeah, good idea.
Conan, you coming?
Harley might be coming back, so I'd better wait for him in my room.
Oh, really? That's too bad. Well, after your friend returns, you can come anytime you like.
Okay, thanks. Harley, you're back.
Mr. Chase is all shut up in his office. Looks like he's going nowhere for a while. How are things with you, Jimmy?
The emergency boats were all slashed and unusable, but I was able to sneak into the central control room and restore the main power supply.
That was you who turned the power back on? That's quite a feat, Jimmy.
But now that the power is restored, the murderer is probably in a state of panic. Before their victim escapes off the island, they may rush and try to commit their next crime.
Before that happens, we better solve this mystery and foil the murderer's plans.
Right.
So, putting together all the information we have now, who has a decent alibi for the first killing? Miss Rayburn.
At the time of the crime, Al Watson brought a drink to the owner's room.
Utako met him and had a chat with him.
Mr. Chase says he was with Ms. Wexham, his secretary, in his office, but that's clearly a lie.
Keith and Emily said they were both in the courtyard. They also are very close, so their alibi is not fully credible. The two of them might be matching their stories.
Based on what we're saying, none of their alibis are particularly airtight.
Now for the second murder, when Mr. Ogre was killed.
The key point is, when was the throat spray switched with the container that had the poison in it?
Ogre was constantly using throat spray, right? The people capable of switching the spray are limited to whoever was in the labyrinth at the time, right?
No, there's an emergency exit there that anyone from the Mirapolis could have entered by using a key.
Then even people who weren't there at the time could have committed the crime.
Yeah, but wait! According to George, the almond-like smell was there after Ogre collapsed, not beforehand. It was after Keith leaned over in front of Mr. Ogre and checked his pulse and his pupils.
Meaning, when Mr. Ogre fell down, he wasn't dead yet?
Based on my own reasoning, the method the murderer used to kill Ogre is as follows. First, they forced him to drink sleeping medicine before inviting him into the labyrinth. The drug began to take effect as he was walking through the maze. He then fell and was seen by George and the others. The murderer drew close to Ogre after he fell. They put poison into his mouth and then switched the bottles.
So the killer is either Mr. Chase, Utako, or Miss Wexham, the secretary, who all approached the collapsed Mr. Ogre, or Keith, who examined Ogre and confirmed his death.
Yes, almost definitely the murderer is someone out of those four people.
Those four all claimed alibis for the first murder, which were pretty dubious, right?
Right. So motive then becomes an important thing to look at.
For one thing, just what was the crime that Mr. Chase committed in the past?
Harley, can you pass me that newspaper from 12 years ago? There are 3 articles written on the copy of the newspaper which was found next to Ms. Rayburn's body. Stalker murder, car drives off cliff, and family dies in late-night fire.
In the late-night fire story, it says in a possible murder-suicide, a bankrupt business owner and his family died.
Okay.
What if Mr. Chase made that company go bankrupt, and as a result, the whole family died in a fire?
But it says in the article that the entire family of 4 perished in the fire.
Meaning there were no survivors, right?
Yeah. Hey, this car driving off a cliff article. This mini headline says, eldest son thrown from car miraculously saved. 45-year-old businessman Hisayasu Kurashige lost control of his car on a family drive and the car went off a cliff. The car then went up in flames and Kurashige and his wife, who was in the passenger seat, both died. His 8-year-old son Mamoru was thrown from the vehicle and miraculously survived.
Eldest son thrown from a car? 8 years old? Someone that age would now be 20. He'd be about the same age as Keith.
You know, Keith said that he lost his memories from before he was 8 due to the shock from some kind of accident.
Meaning the 8-year-old Mamoru Kurashige from the article is Keith. And Mr. and Miss Kurashige, who both died, are Keith's parents.
Maybe there's some kind of secret connected to the accident and the victims, Ms. Rayburn and Mr. Ogre, as well as Mr. Chase having something to do with the Kurashige's deaths. It did appear that Mr. Ogre had something on Mr. Chase and he was blackmailing him.
Revenge was the motive? But wait a minute. If Mr. Chase was being blackmailed by Ogre and Rayburn, isn't it also possible that Chase killed them to silence them?
In that case, the message "blood will continue to rain on this party" would have been written by Mr. Chase himself.
Well, with Keith having been in an accident at 8 years old, the exact same age, it would still be rash to conclude that he's the boy in the article. I better ask Mr. Otaki to check out the details on this one then. Hi, this is Harley. We received the facts. Thanks very much. I actually have one more thing I'd like to request. For the article about the car that went off the cliff, could you look into some details for me? Huh? Why am I asking such a thing? Well, the thing is, okay, it's all set. When I told Mr. Otaki about the murders, he was shocked. He said he'll find out and contact me soon. No way. He did the research already? Hello? Oh, Katrina, it's you. What? Mirage are performing an illusion show in the ceremony hall?
Huh?
Why? Don't they know what kind of situation we're in? Hey, Katrina, are you listening? She hung up.
This isn't good at all. The killer might attempt their third murder while people's eyes are glued to the stage.
Oh, it's Conan and Harley? Mirage is putting on a show, you know?
I heard. Who authorized that?
Well, our president and Utako said it was okay, and Detective Moore as well.
Mr. Moore agreed to that?
Hey, kids, you're missing a really good part. Right now, the Hill Sisters are showing off some incredible acrobatics on stage. Ooh, those daring costumes. Those gorgeous bodies. It's so good to be alive.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having a great time.
Hey, Mr. Moore, is it really okay for this to be going on, even though the guests are supposed to be evacuated off the island?
That's not possible at the moment.
Why's that?
Apparently, due to the shock caused by that blackout, the shutter for the moving walkway broke down. Mr. Chase says we have to wait a little longer. So to kill the time in between, they held this show.
But while everyone is looking at the stage, the murderer might try to kill again.
I objected myself, you know. But that stupid Keith said he wanted to put on the show. Well, just like I've been doing, I'll keep a close eye on things.
Well, now it's time for the show's finale. Our last trick is a grand illusion where a woman will vanish in a tank of water.
Oh, cool! That tank is huge!
Emily looks just like a mermaid princess!
Mermaid Princess. This is the part that Linda really wanted to play, huh?
Failing to win the heart of her beloved prince, the mermaid princess will return to her home in the sea with a broken heart. The mermaid princess, will she change to sea foam and vanish away?
Oh! The mermaid princess! She vanished!
Alas, the mermaid princess has turned to foam and disappeared. But please don't worry. If all the people here join together and wish for her recovery, the mermaid princess will reappear. Everybody make a wish from the center of your hearts. Say, Mermaid Princess, come back to life!
Mermaid princess, please come back to life. Please, please.
Thank you! Because of all your wishes, the mermaid princess will once again... What the... Oh no!
It can't be. It's Emily's body and...
Oh, no. No! Emily! Emily!
This is no time to be hesitant. Hurry up and save her. Rachel, take those kids back to their rooms.
Okay. Everyone, let's go back.
Emily, I can't believe it! It's my fault. I said I wanted to do this illusion. Emily! Emily!
The cause of death was suffocation by hanging. The murderer mounted some kind of platform and waited for Emily. When Emily came up to take a breath, the killer must have wrapped the rope quickly around her neck. Then, the murderer jumped off the platform using leverage to hang Emily. This part of the rope is worn off. They likely pulled the rope against the edge of the tank when hanging her. There's no sign that the victim suffered. She was probably killed in an instant. There's also no sign of resistance, making it likely that she died in no time. The water tank was built to have two sections. In the middle, it was fitted with a divider with a mirror on it. By sliding the divider, it's possible to move back and forth from the front and back of the tank. A divider with a mirror. Emily hid herself behind this divider. From the audience, this made it look like she disappeared. Foam came out of this pipe. This small instrument helped to trick the audience and add effect to the mermaid's story. With a water tank as large as this, it looks like the water level would hardly change if an extra person entered it. The drapes provide perfect cover for anyone who tries to come down into the tank from the ceiling. There's no sign that some kind of device was used to kill Emily. It doesn't seem likely that the murderer used some contraption to hang her.
I've pretty much figured out how the murderer killed Emily.
Really? Can I hear your theory?
The murderer was already hiding at the back of the stage. When the curtain was lowered, they went to the back of the tank holding a rope tied in a noose. They then waited for Emily to pop her head out of the water to take a breath.
Oh, yeah. And when her head came out of the water, they wrapped the noose around her neck to hang her.
The killer was probably standing on top of a platform. After putting the rope around Emily's neck, they hung her by jumping off the platform to provide leverage.
Wow. With that kind of a method, the victim would have no chance of resisting. Their breath would have stopped in an instant.
So, following this reasoning, Keith was on stage, so it would have been impossible for him to commit the crime.
Meaning he's innocent.
Or did he use some special kind of method to kill Emily? Something which we might not have noticed. If that's true, then where did Linda go?
Yeah, I've been wondering about that for a while too. The victim's sister was not here even with all the commotion that was going on. Why was that?
I've got it. I've figured out the method used to murder Emily, and who her killer is.
Really?
Then who could the killer be?
The murderer was someone who knew about the underwater disappearing trick. And of course, that person must have been here, but they would have concealed themselves.
What? That doesn't...
The culprit killed Emily on stage in the middle of the illusion. Then they passed through the back of the stage to escape. While I was investigating, there was only one way from the back of the stage to the passageway in front of the hall. The murderer must have taken that route to flee beyond the hall.
Brilliant again, Detective Moore! The murder is as good as solved!
Well... Now then, I must follow the trail right away. It's very dangerous, so everyone please stay well behind me.
Is that?
Evidence that the killer passed this way. Who's its owner? Keith, you probably know more than anyone else.
It's a hair ornament that Linda was using. Could Emily's killer be...
Well, there's no need to explain myself. Everyone has to agree that Linda was the killer. It couldn't be anyone else.
What? What are you saying? The killer? What do you mean?
Playing dumb won't get you anywhere. The person who murdered Emily was you. Right, Linda?
Murdered? My sister was murdered?
Linda, you were very jealous of your sister. That means you had plenty of motive.
Wait a second. I didn't kill her!
Linda, during the underwater disappearing trick, you killed Emily by wrapping rope around her neck from the back of the tank and hanging her. After committing the crime, you passed through the back of the stage and escaped to this room. This hair ornament, which was dropped in front of the elevator, proves you did it more than anything.
There must be some kind of mistake. I was in my room the whole time.
You were in your room?
I was fixing my makeup to get ready for the performance. Then... out of nowhere, someone came into my room. They forced me to breathe some kind of anesthetic, and I lost consciousness. I came to just a few minutes ago.
So you're saying that during the show, you were unconscious in this room?
Yes.
That's a poor excuse, isn't it? Listen, Linda, didn't we all see you up on stage with our very own eyes?
Me? Up on stage?
You were performing advanced acrobatic techniques right in step with Emily. Linda, do you think there's somebody besides you who is capable of such a thing?
I don't really know. All I know is that it certainly wasn't me. That's because
You were here in this room. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Sorry to say, Linda, but as there's nothing to clearly prove that you were in this room, we must suspect that you are the murderer.
This is Keith, please! You have to believe me! I didn't kill my sister!
But earlier, you said to Emily...
I didn't mean it, though! No, it can't be. My sister is really dead. I don't believe this!
This stepladder. You used it when you hung Emily with the rope, right?
What? No!
The police will come and investigate in detail. The truth will be revealed surely. Until then, stay in your room. If you try to escape, we'll all take it as evidence that you are definitely the murderer.
Jeez, they sure are taking their time. What in the world are the police doing?
Asking this might not be necessary, but Mr. Chase, you really did contact the police, didn't you?
What are you saying? Of course. Why would you suggest that?
Even so, don't you think it's odd that they've been delayed this much?
I asked my secretary to notify the police, but perhaps there was a mix-up. I guess I'll have to contact them myself.
Wait a minute. What? You have a cell phone, am I correct? Call them now from right here, please.
Oh, well, the thing is...
Is something wrong? Are you unable to make a call for some reason?
I'm sorry. I still haven't...
Oh. So then. You never contacted them at all, huh?
Well, that was because... How can I put this? I didn't want our guests to know that the murders took place here.
You didn't want them to know? Listen, Mr. Chase, murders have taken place here.
I've staked my life and the future of my company to open the Mirapolis. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't want our opening event to be a complete failure.
You really thought such a ridiculous excuse would work?
I don't know what to say.
Listen, Mr. Chase, in the middle of this Mirapolis which you have built, the very lives of your guests are now in danger. In a situation like this, the actions you have taken are unforgivable.
I intended to call the police right after evacuating the guests.
There's nothing more to say.
I apologize. The next time, I'll definitely...
No, it's fine. I'll contact the police. Mr. Chase, until the police arrive, please wait in your room. If, on your own accord, you leave your room or carry out some unusual action, at that time, well, I'll just have to keep my eye on you.
Detective Moore, are you suspecting me?
It's not just for you. I ask that everyone here also do the same. After you go back to your rooms, don't take one step outside your doors until the police come. I'll be patrolling the area, so don't even think about doing anything that will make me more suspicious than I already am.
Looks like what we were worried about has become a reality.
Darn it. Right in front of my eyes.
Detective Moore thinks the third murder was committed by Linda, and he seems to believe that the first and second killings were the work of somebody else.
Though it just doesn't add up. Hypothetically, if Linda did it, why would she escape to her room even though she knew that people would suspect her?
Because if she had killed her own sister, she might have completely lost her head.
Well, the one doubt I have is when they were in the courtyard. Keith and Emily said that they were there the whole time. But why didn't Linda go and approach the two of them?
Oh, I remember. When she slapped Emily across the face, it was after Keith and Emily stepped away from the side of the pond and walked towards us.
Wait a second, the side of the pond? Maybe Linda has a fear of water.
So that means the murder...
It would have been almost impossible for Linda to have done it, right?
Who is it?
I'm the high school detective of the West, Harley Hartwell.
A high school detective?
Linda, I'm thinking I might be able to come to your aid.
Come to my aid?
I definitely can't stand being next to water. If I'm on the side of a pond or a river, I can't help but feel frightened. But how did the two of you know something like that?
Well, it's a long story.
So, is there a reason why you became so scared of water?
Yes. I don't really remember it all that well, but when I was 3, I went to a fishing hole with my family and apparently I fell in the pond. I only remember that I almost drowned and that it was awful because I couldn't breathe. My father saved me right away and there weren't any serious injuries. But ever since then, I haven't been able to go anywhere near places where there's deep water. Getting in a bath is too scary, so I always take a shower.
Then there's no way you could play the Mermaid Princess, right, Linda?
Yes, I really wanted to do it. But wasn't Emily killed at the back of the water tank? If that's so, there's no way I could have done it. The water tank is too scary for me. I can't get near it.
Then is there anyone who can back that up?
Keith can. He would have heard about it from Emily herself.
All right. We'll talk to Keith and confirm whether it's true or not.
If Keith supports what I said, do you think Detective Moore will believe that I'm innocent?
Well, I can't say 100%, but it would definitely be some strong evidence.
Please, you have to help me. I'm really innocent.
I understand. We'll catch the real killer then, and that'll prove for sure you didn't do it.
Let's see.
Now we should pay Keith a visit in order to double-check Linda's story. Hello? Hi, Katrina. What? Detective Moore's going to put on a detective show? You got it. The two of us will be there right away. She said Moore's gathering everyone involved together and he's starting up a detective show.
Sounds terrible, though it will be all right as long as he doesn't use faulty reasoning.
The Sleeping Richard detective show is finally about to begin, right? Oh, my heart's already pounding.
But where is he?
Oh, over there. Huh? Something's not right. It looks like Detective Moore isn't sleeping.
I believe the same person killed both Jess Rayburn and Jim Ogre in the first and second murders, and a different person killed Emily Hill in the third murder.
Just as I suspected.
Now, it goes without saying we all know that the person who murdered Emily was you, Linda.
Wait a minute. Isn't it way too early to be deciding that Linda is the killer?
What?
When she was little, Linda almost drowned in a pond, so she can't stand being next to water. The sight of a pond or a river is too scary for her, so she can't even stand to go near them. That would also include a water tank, right?
Hey, little boy, are you babbling about things again?
Actually, the boy's right, Mr. Moore.
What? What are you talking about?
Linda, I'm sorry for doubting you. When I remembered that you're scared of water, I realized that you couldn't have committed the murder.
Keith.
In short, Linda couldn't get close to the water tank? So because of that, you're saying she couldn't have carried out the murder?
Yes, she's innocent.
I'm sorry to say, but I don't think that's good enough evidence to prove she didn't do it.
Why is that?
Linda could just be saying that she hates water, so it's hardly irrefutable evidence. First of all, Linda told us that at the time of the murder, she was in her room and not performing on stage. But then who could that have been up there with Emily executing all those acrobatics?
Then...
Well, putting aside Emily's murder, we still have to look at the first and second killings. And the culprit is Mr. Chase. I believe it was you.
What?
From time to time, Ms. Rayburn and Mr. Ogre were paying you a visit to blackmail you for money. Someone tipped me off to that.
What? Al, how could you? Did you forget how I helped you by shouldering your debts? How could you backstab me?
I'm sorry, sir. It's just, with you involved in murder, even though you really saved me,
Forget it! Al, you're fired!
What? Fired?
All the debt I took on for you. You'd better pay it all back immediately!
But...
Let's proceed. Mr. Chase, Rayburn and Ogre had something on you and were blackmailing you, isn't that so? Then they showed up at the opening event for the Mirapolis, something you've staked your whole life on. You then decided that you could no longer allow them to live.
Hey, wait right there! I have an alibi! When Miss Rayburn was murdered, I was in my office with Miss Wexham, my secretary.
Sorry, but that alibi has also been undone.
What? Meg, no way. You too?
Ms. Wexham told me everything. Mr. Chase, you asked her to give a false alibi. Also, by your request, she wired money to Rayburn and Ogre's bank accounts several times in the past. I'm guessing that you committed the first killing, Ms. Rayburn's murder, on an impulse. At the end of an argument, you strangled the victim by her neck and murdered her.
No, that's not true!
It was then only a matter of time until Mr. Ogre would learn about the crime you committed. You then decided to kill Ogre as well. This time you would carry out a premeditated murder. Leaving that message at the scene, it looked like the culprit was someone who bore a grudge against you. You made yourself look like a victim to appear that you too were being targeted.
But when Mr. Ogre was murdered, I was showing some guests around with my wife. I had no opportunity to get close to him to switch the throat spray with the bottle that contained the poison.
No, you had a chance. Mr. Chase, you killed Ogre after he collapsed, not beforehand.
What do you mean?
First, you made Ogre drink something laced with sleeping medicine. You also then invited him to the labyrinth. He fell down as the drug took effect. As if to tend to him, you then drew near and put the poison in his mouth. The person who killed Ms. Rayburn and Mr. Ogre was you, Mr. Chase. More than anything, not calling the police after the two of them were killed proves that you did it.
No. That's wrong. I didn't kill anyone. I didn't call the police for a different reason.
Then allow me to hear all about that so-called reason in my room.
What?
Until the police come, I'll be watching you closely. In this room, we'd be disturbing your wife, Utako. Let's move to my room.
Jack.
For the rest of you, it's okay now to return to your rooms. However, if you take even one step outside of your rooms, or leave without permission, I'll also be forced to keep an eye on you as well.
Oh my! Mr. Chase is the killer!
What could it be? Linda can't stand water, but what about those acrobatics on stage? Who else could have done that?
Hey, there is one other person. Other than Linda, the only one capable of that would be...
Really?
Jess Rayburn, Jim Ogre, and Emily Hill were all murdered by the same person. The real killer is that person. But to really nail down that person, I need some definitive evidence.